Shalom, shalom, shalom. Giving all the praises, all honor, and all infinite glory to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, RAWCHAA, QADASH. Double honors to the beloved apostles, the elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and who I learn from daily. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the hopeful elect, scattered across the four corners of the earth. You Israelite foreigners like unto a speckled bird. Shalom to you, sincere Akim on the highways and byways, doing lessons and videos, week in and week out in truth and sincerity. Shalom to you, sincere Akwath, who's listening in silence as the scriptures command you to do so. This is your brother Isaiah Allah coming to you with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, and Lord willing, I pray this is edifying to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians are the biblical Hebrew Israelites of the Bible. The name of your God, your power, his name is Yahawah. Yah meaning he, Hawa mean is, he exists. BAHASHAM is coming in the name, and who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. His true name in the Hebrew is YAHAWASHI. Yah meaning he, Hawashai meaning savior or deliverer. All praises, all honor, and all infinite glory. And so getting right into this one, brothers and sisters, and I pray, Lord willing, this lesson is edifying through the spirit. And we got this clip right here that I found on YouTube based on this article that was on the People's Voice. This was published yesterday, but I'm just getting up to it today, through the spirit. That the letter that Iran wrote, the president of Iran wrote to America, to the Babylonians, pretty much stating what we already knew. All right, what the men of the Lord, beginning with our beloved apostles, the elders, the bishops, have been saying for years now, man, that Israel was gonna push America into this war. All right, to attack Iran, the Palestinians, so on and so forth. And now we're here. And now we've been here the past couple of weeks, the past month, Salakia, and it's escalating and it's not de-escalating. It's not going anywhere. All right. And this letter that he pushed out, that he published it prior to Trump addressing the country. All right, which was, I believe it was yesterday or the day before the Passover. If not, I think it was the day of the Passover, Salakia, if I'm not mistaken, to where he addressed the country with his prideful speech and his rhetoric and his bullshit that he's been spewing. But it's hilarious, man, because we're all for Trump, man, because the spirit of Yahweh BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI is heavy on this man to collapse this kingdom, man. All right, so they can come forth with their new world order and the implementation of the mark of the beast. All right, to push this war, so our Lord Yahawashi can return. But this letter was interesting that the Iranian president Masoud Pezeshkian released to asking whether Washington is truly putting America first or merely acting as a proxy for Israel as they seek to fight to the last American soldier and last American taxpayer dollar. And that's exactly what's happening. All right. Babylon the Great is going to use your sons, your daughters for this war. We've been pushing this out for years now, telling you that this is coming, telling you that a draft is coming, and now you're about to start seeing it. All right. They're still sending soldiers over there. They're about to do a ground invasion, and there's been talks of even Russia. All right. That if the ground invasion happens, if they do go to a full ground contact with Iran, Russia is going to get involved to of course back up Iran, and that's what Ezekiel chapter 38. All right, where the Lord Yahweh BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI is going to put hooks into their jaw. All right, to defend Iran. All right, which is Persia, and so now we're seeing this, man. All right, we're seeing these prophecies happen, man, because of the pride of the Edomites. All right, and the lies that they've pushed out. The deceit, all right, trying to do every like the rape, robbery, and the pillaging that they've done to all nations, all right, and now they believe because they can they did what they did with Venezuela that they were going to be able to do it to Iran, and no, because Iran is a different boss, man. All right, there's levels to this, and they're showing them, okay, and they're pushing forth they want like in terms if they do get peace talks. But there's ultimatums that they want. But Babylon the Great, America is not going to do that because of what? Their pride. All right? And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful time to be alive, man. But this is what Iran is doing. Iran is he's pushing. He's trying to get the American people on his side, telling them look, Your country is the one that did this, man. All right, we know there's still good people, so on and so forth. Which we have the letter right here on Twitter X. But first, we're gonna play this video clip right quick, all right? Because just so you can hear them elaborate and give a brief synopsis on it, okay? And this is fair use, fair use, fair use off of Bloomberg Television. All right, as you can see the title, Iran's president issues open letter to the American public. And so we'll play this first, and then we'll go check out the letter and get some precepts to add it, and then that'll be the lesson, Lord willing. All right, so let's get to it.
Iran's president issued an open letter to the American public, urging them to look beyond political rhetoric. The letter also suggested the U.S. entered the war as a proxy for Israel and stated Iran's actions in the conflict are grounded in self-defense. Let's bring in Bloomberg Horizon's anchor, Jumana Bertzacci. Jumana, what did you make of this letter? It's not very often that something like this happens. Give us some context.
Yeah, that's right. And Vani, also let's just remind everybody that this letter was addressed to the American public by the Iranian president, but this was before Trump's national address overnight. And I should say it's the early hours of the morning over here in the region. Still no official or unofficial response yet from Iran. But what the Iranian state TV did put out before the speech was a suggestion that Iran had never asked for a ceasefire. So that's kind of the starting point of where we're at. Now, yesterday, the Iranian president, Mr. Pezeshkian, did release this open letter to the American public, full of a lot of rhetoric. He was really questioning whether Washington is putting America first or acting as a proxy for Israel, is what he has described in that letter. He talks about rising oil prices. He says that Iran are acting in self-defense. It's not really clear what the objective of this letter is, but clearly trying to play along partisan divides or to appeal to some segments of the American public. He knows, of course, that oil prices and gasoline prices have been rising given what's been happening around the Strait of Hormuz.
The objective is to remove the veil off the people, man, which has already been happening. Real quick, let's get a quick scripture. That's what this is, the objective is. They're showing who the devil is, man. Because this is what Esau, the so-called white man, beginning with the tribe of Amalek, this is what they've been always done. They've always attacked, and then tried to make it seem like they were the ones getting hit, and they're in self-defense. But no, they are the aggressor. All right, and now they've to fulfill prophecy. All right, they've brought America into this because they run America. All right, and brothers and sisters have been bringing this out. Salakia, brothers have been bringing this out, not you sisters. All right, so let's get this real quick. Like, everybody should know where we're going through the spirit. All right, let's get it. Jeremiah chapter 49 and verse 20. Therefore hear the counsel of the Lord Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, that he have taken against Edom, and his purposes, that he have purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. All right, the Edomites being the so-called white man at the head of the tribe of Amalek, the small hats. Excuse me, Salakia. Teman being the wisest of the Edomites. All right, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. And the least of the flock is the small hats, man. All right, the so-called you wish people. They drew America into this war. And this prophecy, we've been saying this prophecy, the apostles for years, man. And now we're seeing the manifestation of it through the spirit of Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, man. All right, why? Because these devils they have to push forth war. That's all they know. That's all they know, and they're deceitful and they're liars. All right, their lies are now being made manifest, and that's why the purpose of this letter, because Iran is telling the people, like, we're in self-defense. Like, these people, they attacked us first. All right, they came, they killed our president, like our leader. They killed our the children. They bombed the school of girls' school. This is what these devils have done, man. And now he's letting them know, like, he's trying to reach certain people that are going to adhere to the message, to say, like, y'all need to like essentially what we're gonna go to the letter to that, like, you have a wicked, evil people running you, man. Like, this is the devil that the Bible speaks of, and it's time to stand up and do something for truth. And this is essentially what's happening, man, because Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, has gone across the whole planet doing violence, wickedness. And now the truth, the veil is being taken off the people's face, man, and they're starting to see it. This is why that's happening, man. This is Isaiah chapter 25 and verse 7. And he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people and the veil that is spread over all nations. All right. And this is what the Heavenly Father is doing through the Spirit. He's removing that veil off all the nations so they can, and making Esau, Edom a gazing stock. All right. Babylon the Great, Israel a gazing stock, and pointing the finger at everybody's pointing the finger at these devils, man. And then that veil is being taken off. The gross darkness to people is being removed, man. All right. They're no longer seeing, they can actually see now that who the problem of the planet Earth is. And it's the so-called white man. It's the so-called white man, point blank period, man. Because they're the ones that push violence all across the whole world, man. The weapons, raping, robbing, and pillaging. They destroyed our people. All right, stole our heritage. And now they're continuously bringing war. They can't stop. And this is what they did to them, man. All right, let's go here. This is Psalms 55, beginning at verse 20. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. That's exactly what he did to Iran, man. Because with Israel during all the battles, they wanted peace. They wanted peace talks. They didn't want to continuously fight. All right. They went to the table and sat down and went over things. All right. But as soon as they did that, what did America and Israel do? All right. While they were still talking peace talks, they went and bombed them, man. They went and started attacking. That's why you can't trust these devils, man. You can't trust the Edomites, because they're gonna as it says in Habakkuk 2, their spirit is not upright in them. This is who they are. Okay, he have broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. You see, very smooth talk. Yeah, we want to bring peace. We want to do this. Yeah, let's do this. We don't want to fight no more. All right, yeah. All right. And at the same time, he's sitting there texting. All right, drop it. Drop them bombs on them, on the motherfuckers. All right, so excuse my French. Do this. Go in there. Attack. Kill these motherfuckers. And then boom, exactly what happened. And now Iran's like, no. That's why they're not like every time Trump goes to the podium and talks peace, Iran's like, nope, nope, false story. That's not what's happening right now. No, we're gonna keep bombing. All right, until they get what they want. And essentially, I believe Iran wants the Strait of Hormuz. Let me see. Will accept peace. One condition. Yeah, they want specific conditions, and the main one is they want to. Yeah, this is what these are some of the conditions they want, but they're not going to get it because the Edomites, the so-called white man, is so prideful. All right, I'm talking about the most prideful nation ever in existence. That they're like, this war is going to continue. But why at the end of it all is why, brothers? Prophecy. Iran has rejected U.S.-backed ceasefire proposals, stating it will only end the war if specific conditions are met, primarily a complete, permanent halt to aggression by the U.S. and Israel, along with binding, objective guarantees to prevent future attacks. Other key demands include compensation for damages and recognition of Iranian sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz. That's the main point. All right, they want sovereignty over it, and they're not going to get that. But as long as the so-called white man is in rulership, no. This is why this war is going to escalate. All right, and it's going to lead to nuclear war. All right, point blank period. Permanent halt to hostilities, binding guarantees, compensation, Strait of Hormuz control, and rejection of U.S. terms. Yeah, they don't want nothing. They're like, no, we don't want you motherfuckers dealing with anything with us, man. Nothing. All right, we want our own sovereignty. We want to do what we want to do. But the Edomites don't do that. That's why they're always, as the scriptures say, in Salakia, bro. This is all through the Spirit. The scriptures say this, because I was going to get this anyway, but we'll read this one real quick, and we'll get back to the video and finish that out. Habakkuk 2 and 5. Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, which is that wine, brothers, is his philosophies. All right? This is why the so-called white man is everywhere. All right? As it says in Revelation 17, the whore, which sitteth upon many waters. All right? Always in everybody else's business. The whore being America. All right? And he pushes that wine across the planet Earth. And that's why the nations are angry. Because his philosophies, like homosexuality, the dollar, all these things is pushed out by the so-called white man. He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. You see, he's in everybody else's business. That's why they want, but Iran is tired of it, and they want their sovereignty back. Who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. And that's here in America, man. That's why Babylon the Great, America, is a melting pot of all nations, all mixtures of nations, different religions, philosophy, so on and so forth. Okay, that's why this place is the great land of confusion. And he can't have enough. All right, he wants it all. All right, and this he'll never be satisfied. And this is why like he has to be taken completely out of power. But the main point through the spirit is he's always in everybody else's business. He can't keep at home. All right, and he really doesn't have a home to begin with, because the home that was given to him, all right, Mount Seir, Petra, he doesn't want that either. And so let's go back to this video clip. Salakia, that was all through the spirit. All right, let's finish this out.
But again, something that I would just want to go back to, President Trump himself put up a Truth Social post yesterday saying that the Iranian president had requested a ceasefire and that he was from the new regime. It's also worth reminding viewers that President Pezeshkian was around in the old regime with the former supreme leader, and he doesn't have a lot of clout in terms of decision making when it comes to some of those key nuclear and military decisions that need to be made. So what many experts in the field are saying is perhaps you need to be listening a little bit more to the likes of the new National Supreme Leader, the man who replaced Ali Larijani, and the Speaker of the Parliament, Ghalibaf, who's been quite active on social media the last couple of days. And those are perhaps the people that would likely more reflect a change in sentiment from Iran if it indeed is going to come through in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Jumana, we should mention as well that the letter was a couple of hours before the President of the United States addressed the U.S. public. Now, regarding the Strait of Hormuz, we didn't get any clarity from President Trump on what the U.S. plans to do, but we did have the UK Prime Minister saying that his Foreign Secretary was gathering a group of 35 Foreign Secretaries, right, to talk about it. And the UAE has actually gone to the United Nations. Bring us up to speed.
Yeah, I think President Trump has made it clear the last couple of days that he wants to de-link the fate of the strait, so to speak, with military operations and leave it to other countries to sort out, especially those countries that are more reliant on the oil that passes through the strait. China, a key one. He's explicitly referenced China. Now, when it comes to some of those efforts, the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer did refer to a meeting that's going to take place today that will be chaired by Yvette Cooper. And there will be, it's expected around 35 countries are going to participate in this virtual meeting to discuss potential economic, diplomatic, and possibly even military measures to help reopen the Strait of Hormuz. The preferred channel obviously being diplomatic at this point, these countries getting together to assess whether Iran will come to the negotiating table. If that fails, then perhaps go down the economic route, apply more sanctions. If that fails, then as a very last option, military. But many countries and European nations have expressed their reservation about getting involved militarily. As for Gulf nations, we know that yesterday the UAE invoked Article 7 at the UN Security Council, and essentially what that means is they're asking for diplomatic cover should they want to choose to enter or get involved in the reopening of the strait militarily. And that is what that Article 7 provides for. It allows for the use of force in the face of an act of an aggression or a threat to peace. So this is what the UAE had put forward. The UAE officially one of the few Gulf Arab countries that have said that they would be open to participating in naval escorts or any maritime operations to help reopen the strait. And of course, in the last few days, as we've been speaking about, have been very vocal about an outcome in which Iran still retains sovereignty of the Strait of Hormuz, being something that is unacceptable to them and akin to economic terrorism. So definitely some motions from around the world to deal with the issue of the strait. Whether it's going to yield anything is another big question.
And yeah, as you can hear, man, it's not going to yield anything. It's going to continuously lead to the escalation of war, man. All right, this war is not going to stop. It's not going to cease because you're dealing with the devil, bro. The devil that the Bible speaks of. This is the pure Edomites, and they've always done this, man. So here's we're gonna read some of this letter. All right, Iran's full open letter to the American people, to the people of the United States of America, and to all those who, amid a flood of distortions and manufactured narratives, continue to seek the truth and aspire to a better life. Iran, by this very name, character, and identity, is one of the oldest continuous civilizations in human history, which is absolutely true. All right, they're the Persians, and they've always been, even back in the ancient world, a force to be reckoned with. I mean, in terms of militarily and their strategies, war, so on and so forth, man. And the only reason why they were taken down, all right, by the Greeks, which were the Edomites, was because for prophecy's sake. All right, Alexander the Great, so on and so forth. And so, they've always been an ancient like that out of pretty much all that nations. When you do your research and histories, brothers and sisters, they've had a little bit more integrity than most nations. All right, in terms of because they had their own customs, so on and so forth, and when we were in captivity under them. All right, but it's still they're heathen. But what he's saying is it has some validity. Iran, by this very name, character, and identity, is one of the oldest continuous civilizations in human history. Despite its historical and geographical advantages at various times, Iran has never, in its modern history, chosen the path of aggression, expansion, colonialism, or domination. Even after enduring occupation, invasion, and sustained pressure from global powers, and despite possessing military superiority over many of its neighbors, Iran has never initiated a war, yet it has resolutely and bravely repelled those who have attacked it. The Iranian people harbor no enmity toward other nations, including the people of America, Europe, or neighboring countries, even in the face of repeated foreign interventions and pressures throughout their proud history. Yep, see? The proud, man. They're very, like I read it just in Habakkuk, proud. The Edomites are the most prideful devils on the planet, bro. Very proud. But that pride is about to be knocked down. Let's get that. And it is being knocked down right now through the spirit and power of YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. It says something similar in Obadiah as well. Let's get it. Yeah. Jeremiah 49. We'll begin at verse 15. For lo, I will make thee small among the heathen and despised among men. That's what's happening right now. And that letter is a form of that. Verse 16. Thy terribleness have deceived thee, and the pride of thine heart. O that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, that holdest the height of the hill. All right, because they're like the Edomites are ruling right now. They're like, this is the last empire, right, of Rome 2.0 of the Roman Empire, which is ruled by the Edomites, man. All right, they're the ones that were the caveman. All right, the wild man. All right, they hold the highest government. Though thou shouldest make thy nest as high as the eagle, all right, which is the symbol of the United States of America, as well as these devils like to build high. All right, they have their space stations. All right, the satellites, so on and so forth. I will bring thee down from thence, saith YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. And that's what's about to happen to these devils. And it's going to end by thermonuclear destruction. Also, Edom shall be a desolation, which is also referring to America, which is ruled by the so-called white man. All right, beginning with Amalek the small hats. Everyone that goeth by it shall be astonished and shall hiss at all the plagues thereof. And that's what's about to happen here, man. This is not going to stop. Okay? Continuing on. Even after enduring occupation, invasion, and sustained pressure from global powers, and despite possessing military superiority over many of its neighbors, Iran has never initiated a war, yet it has resolutely and bravely repelled those who have attacked it. The Iranian people harbor no enmity towards other nations, including the people of America, Europe, or neighboring countries, even in the face of repeated foreign interventions and pressures throughout their proud history. Iranians have consistently drawn a clear distinction between governments and the peoples they govern. This is a deeply rooted principle in Iranian culture and collective consciousness, not a temporary political stance. And it is true because even through the spirit, all right, the Cyrus, when we were in captivity under them, all right, the Lord put the spirit on Cyrus to allow us to go back to Jerusalem to rebuild, man. All right. And so, like I said, they had some, like he called Cyrus his servant, if I'm not mistaken. Let's get that. I think it's in Isaiah. Yeah, Isaiah 45, actually Salakia 44 and verse 28. That saith of Cyrus. Let me see what's the precept. Yeah, that Isaiah 44 and 28. That saith of Cyrus, he is my shepherd and shall perform all my pleasure. Even saying to Jerusalem, thou shalt be built, and to the temple thy foundation shall be laid. Because Cyrus was the one that gave that decree, all right, to rebuild the temple. Okay, and just to prove that this is talking about Cyrus of Persia right here. All right, Cyrus equals possess thou the furnace, the king of Persia, which is Iran, and conqueror of Babylon, first ruler of Persia to make a decree allowing the Israelite exiles to return to Jerusalem. So the Lord YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, as it says at Daniel chapter 4 and verse 17, he rules in the kingdom of men. And so he uses these kings to fulfill his purpose and his will. And so it's the same thing. All right, just to show an example how the leader of Iran is stating that they always, let me go back to it. Yeah, that they do a distinction between governments and the people they govern because we were under them. All right, but they still allowed us, because it was the will of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, to go back to rebuild the temple, the second temple at the time. All right, and that was the time during Ezra, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go back. Yeah, during Ezra. All right, the prophet Ezra. The decree came out where he allowed us to go back to rebuild the temple. And that was what the prophet Jeremiah prophesied about. All right, to go back to rebuild the second temple. And during the time of Nehemiah, that's when we rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem. All right, so you can have understanding. As it says here, Ezra 1 and 1. Now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Lord YAHAWAH by the mouth of Jeremiah might be fulfilled, the Lord YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom, and put it also in writing, saying, thus saith Cyrus, king of Persia, the Lord YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, power of heaven, hath given me all the kingdoms of the earth, and he hath charged me to build him a house at Jerusalem, which is in Judah. All right. And so he knew, like that shows that the nation, the heathen, they knew Yahweh. They knew the God, the God of Yasharallah, the God of Israel, man. All right. Even Nebuchadnezzar had to give reverence to know that the Heavenly Father rules in the kingdom of men. Who is there among you of all his people? His power be with him, and let him go up to Jerusalem, which is in Judah, and build the house of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, God of Israel. He is the God, which is a power, which is in Jerusalem. And whosoever remaineth in any place where he sojourneth, let the men of his place help him with silver and with gold and with goods and with beasts, beside the freewill offering for the house of power that is in Jerusalem. All right. Yep. And that was just to rebuild the second temple. All right. And then when you go in, when you read that, you read it on your own time, that the Lord YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI put the spirit on him to allow us to go back up to rebuild it. Okay. And so, but the point being, like, the point's been made on that, in that aspect. All right. You know, through the spirit. So let's read a little bit more. For this reason, portraying Iran as a threat is neither consistent with historical reality nor with present day observable facts. Such a perception is the product of political and economic whims of the powerful, which is the elites. All right. But the lesser elites, all right, Trump, you know, Pete Hegseth, you know, them devils, the need to manufacture an enemy in order to justify pressure, maintain military dominance, sustain the arms industry, and control strategic markets. In such an environment, if a threat does not exist, it is invented. That's the Edomites. That's the Edomites, man. All right. Within the same framework, the United States has concentrated the largest number of its forces, bases, and military capabilities around Iran, a country that, at least since the founding of the United States, has never initiated a war. Recent American aggressions launched from these very bases have demonstrated how threatening such a military presence truly is. Naturally, no country confronted with such conditions would forego strengthening its defensive capabilities. What Iran has done and continues to do is a measured response grounded in legitimate self-defense and by no means an initiation of war or aggression. But the Edomites initiate war. And then they try to make it seem like that they are not the aggressors, but the other nations are. This is who they are. This is why they go across. Like I read, all right, their words were smooth as butter, but war was in their heart, man. All right. They go around, they puff at their enemies. This is who the wicked are, man. Let's get this real quick. This is Psalms chapter 10 and verse 5. All right. We begin at verse 4. The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after the Most High. The Most High is not in all his thoughts. Why? Because his spirit is not upright in him. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. This is what the Edomites do, man. The so-called white man. He puffs at all the nations. That's why he thinks he can go around rape, robbing, and pillaging and go into your nation, stealing your resources to do whatever he wants, man. Verse 6, he has said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. And that's what he believed because of what? Pride. But the Lord, Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, is literally about to destroy these devils, man. We're so close. We can taste it. That the Heavenly Father is about to break these devils, man. All right? Let's get that. That's the spirit. This is Psalm 68 and 6. Break their teeth, O power, in their mouth. All right? Break out the great teeth of the young lions, O Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. And that right now, that's the Edomites, man. All right? Breaking their teeth, their verbiage, they're talking, their pride. The Lord is doing that right now. But guess what? They're still prideful. They're still talking shit. But it's about to get to a point where their hands are about to wax feeble, especially when Russia gets involved, which is Gog. Verse 7, let them melt away as waters which run continually. All right? When he bendeth his bow to shoot his arrows, let them be as cut in pieces, which is going to be the missiles, the nuclear warheads that are going to be shot by these nations. All right? That's going to be what's going to end up happening to destroy these devils, man. All right. And we were looking forward to this. All right. Once they shoot these missiles, it's over, man. It's over. And we're seeing right now through the spirit that your shameful spewing is going on your glory by these nations. This is why he wrote that letter, because to tell America, the Babylonians, like, y'all need to do something against your people. But it's going to get to a point where Esau is going to just have to completely shut things down because there's too much coming out on them. There's too much coming out on them, man. All right. Too much coming out on them. And you know what? We'll end it off with that one. Let's go to Isaiah 13. Nuclear destruction. This is going to be the end, man. Because it says the same thing here. Y'all going to be cut to pieces. Isaiah 13 and verse 17. Yet Babylon will fall to the Medes, which is Russia, because they're occupying the land, the ancient Medes, which were Japhetic people. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver. And as for gold, they shall not delight in it. No money. They're not going to want nothing. It's going to get to that point. All right. Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, which is the missiles. And they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb, and their eyes shall not spare children. And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when the Most High Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. That's what's going to end up happening here, man. All right. Complete destruction all across this entire continent. All right. The lake of fire, which is the thermonuclear missiles, man. All right. And then the king of Babylon, he's going to hear it. He's going to hear. All right. He's going to hear these missiles, man. He's going to hear the missiles were shot off. And then he's going to be, it's over. He's going to know it's completely over. Let me see if I can get that real quick. And then we'll shut it down. All right. I'm not going to, you can read the old letter on your old time, but that's the main points I wanted through the spirit. All right. Yeah. Jeremiah 50 and verse 43. The king of Babylon, which is Trump, as it speaks right now, have heard the report of them, and his hands waxed feeble. Anguish took hold of him, and pangs as of a woman in travail. That's what's going to end up happening. When he hears that report that the nukes have been shot, trembling. All right. And we're looking forward to this because it's coming. It's here, Akim and Akwath. All right. We just got to maintain, Lord willing, I'll remain to the end. And so I pray you were edified in the spirit. All praises, honor, and infinite glory to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, RAWCHAA, QADASH. Double honors to the beloved apostles, the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the hopeful.